Pressing her helmet against the clear section of the pod, Simone can't yet peel her eyes from the child within stasis. He stands a bit tilted, as he was barely awake from a nap before being placed within. One of his eyes is cracked open, though no sign of consciousness comes through it. The Terran feels hot streaks roll down her face from her eyes, along with a powerful yet vague sense of relief. "You're losing me, Thatch. Your son?" Thorne says, as he peeks at the husk of her space carcass neighbour. "Her son," Simone nearly whispers in response. "Shara. She's so happy." Akali's upper hand takes hold of Simone's forearm. "Is this why she wanted to come back here? For him?" Chuck inquires. "Yeah, I think so. A lot of those background feelings are making a lot more sense now. She kept him and her mate a secret. It was for a good reason. Though I don't know what the reason was. I do know she made sure that he would be given the best chance in the situation she was in," the redhead replies, wanting to say more. However, she didn't quite know how to say it. Chuck slowly peeks, but recoils upon catching the lively visage of the Manarian child. It's such a surprise that she could feel her legs numbing up. She is at first confused as to why she has such a visceral reaction to an immobile child, until she remembers what Simone entailed. It was real. The galactic-wide encoding project is real. To her very core, she felt a nearly uncontrollable fear, and if she felt that way, every other species in the galaxy may indeed be inflicted in the same way. This child may have survived the test of the cold, everlasting unfeelingness of the universe till now. But even if he's safe from this orbital tomb, there is truly no place for him. Chuck takes a deep breath, knowing what must be done. "Then we should work quickly. We don't know how the Seekers will react if they find him as well," she chirps before turning to Devon. "Work with Simone, and find out our options to extract that child as safe as possible in our narrow time frame." "Right," the male Terran agrees as he approaches Simone's side to set up his equipment. Taking a surprising amount of effort to tear her eyes free from the child, Simone looks to Chuck. "Thank you, hon," she speaks with immense appreciation, lacing every word, knowing the additional turmoil this may cause in the future. "Of course. We'll figure this out, we always do," Chuck assures, before looking back to the doorway where the ancient bodies of the Terrans lay. "Thorne, can you please take care of them?" "Yeah, I got body bags on me. Didn't think I'd be using them for Terran ones here, but that's life for you," the older Terran responds with a casual salute, revealing where Simone picked up the habit from. "Thank you," the caddy says before returning to Simone. "Is there anything else we need to find here? Anything at all?" It's difficult for Simone to separate her thoughts cleanly from the Manarian meddling, but taking the time to focus, she comes to a realization. "Yeah, a few things," she says before nudging Devon. "I'll be right back. Don't take any risks with him. I'm trusting you with this." Nodding, Devon doesn't say a word, showing that he is in his zone. With that, Simone gives the toddler one last gaze before forcing her boots to move out of the room. "This way," she informs Jack, as she moves around Knee and Dov to the locked door. Increasing her strength output, she hammered her fist over the hidden locking mechanisms. It takes a short while, but eventually the integrity gives way, allowing the door to be forced open most of the way. "Where exactly are we going?" Chuck asks, as she follows through the doorway. She can't help but gasp from seeing several free-floating Manarian husks. "Just down to the end of this passageway," Simone replies, being sure to carefully push the ancient bodies to the side and away from the Kali behind her. Pressing on, Simone eventually stops at an open doorway to her left, taking a considerable moment to prepare herself. "Simone?" Chuck says from behind, taking hold of the Terran's armored paw, who squeezes back in thanks. "Communications room," Simone clarified before stepping in. Other than the floating debris and bodies in the room, it was surprisingly untouched considering the havoc the rest of the station endured. Simone scans her eyes over the two floating bodies, but only one takes her fully undivided attention. A female Manarian, a bit older in her years. In her back is still the sunken blade that did her in all those millennia ago. Being overly careful, Simone takes hold of the wispy clothing and drags it down to her gut level. Shara, the infamous scientist who afflicted an entire galaxy from a time long past, now hovering before the very Terran who holds what remains of her copied consciousness. "This is her," Simone updates Chuck. "The bitch that's probably the root cause of all the shit going on in my life. The encoding, the children of Gaia, my mother." The Terran bites her cheek as the swelling background feelings in her mind process millions of different outcomes. I could be working in my colony, probably inheriting my father's business, still having my father in my life. Her actions here ruined my chance for a normal fucking life, thousands of years before I was even born. Chuck remains silent, just allowing her fiancé to say what she needs to say. I really never had a choice, did I? One way or another I was going to end up here regardless. Somehow I ended up with her in my head, and I doubt that I won some incredibly unlucky raffle. Why me? Why am I the only one with her? I sure as hell know others don't have this bitch in their brain. Otherwise the station would have been found long before now. Even fucking now when I'm literally here and holding her with my own hands. I don't have all the answers. And I'm starting to think I'm not going to get many more, no matter what I do, Simone vents. Though anger isn't what backs her words, rather it's unsettled contemplation. Shara was a goddamn true-to-life villain. An inhumanely cruel swine who, in service to her nation, did more harm than anyone could ever hope to achieve in the universe. I hate her with every fibre of my being for all that she has done. And yet, I know firsthand that she genuinely loved her son, and did everything she could to protect him and her mate from something. She knew what compassion was. She understood it. I'm not sure if that makes it all a little better or far worse. Chuck can't help but think of her father. That despite everything he has done, he might still have the capability to love someone other than his own greedy self. He made choices that perhaps did weigh on him to some extent. Though the princess knows diplomacy with him is no longer an option, regardless of his feelings or justifications. He made those choices, and she has made hers. In time, they both will see the consequences follow through. Whether they were good or bad, she had reasons and made choices accordingly. We live in a result of those choices, but that doesn't mean you never had your own, Chuck points out. You chose to fight those who tried to change you. You chose to save me and embark in my own plight. You chose to help a mother and become one yourself. You've made so many choices, Simone. And yes, you're standing here because of her. That child gets another chance because you're here, but what's the choice you're going to make? That is not for some dead Manarian to decide. It's yours. I'm choosing to do everything within my power to help him, the princess says, comfortably wrapping her lower arm around the redhead's waist. Simone smiles and nods. You're right, she agrees. Glancing down at Shara's face, the Terran sighs. I'll keep him safe, you fucking piece of trash. With that, Simone peels free the triangular device on the corpse's forehead and pushes the body away. Holding it up, Simone presents it to the Callie. This is like their version of a lens. Should hopefully have important data in it. If we figure out how... Another 7 vessels have dropped out of FTL and are inbound. Friends of yours? Thera's voice comes through both their comms. Images accompany it, with 6 armed medium-sized transport craft and a leading destroyer warship in the vague shape of a rounded shark tooth. All of which are branded with the colours of the Children of Gaia. Negative! Not friendly! I repeat, not friendly! Simone roars back, before opening a direct line to Thorn and Devon. We need to evacuate ASAP. Devon, can we get the kid out? No. Nor without exposing him to the vacuum of space. Sorry, Red. The man responds genuinely. Fuck! The redhead snaps, as she hurries back with Chuck towards the pod bay. The Seekers have fled. We are pulling our ships closer to the station wreckage. They have yet to fire upon us, Chuck reports. This can't be a trap. They must have followed us here. But how? Chuck speaks up before she is stopped by Simone's arm from turning into the pod bay. Simone's heart races, as the thought of her old crew somehow being linked with the Children of Gaia forces itself into the forefront of her mind. She racks her brain for any possible sign, anything she might have overlooked. Then the image of what Sam became and of what Thorn currently is now comes to her. Was his story all a lie? Was everything with them all a lie? Did they just fucking use her to find this place? Simone, we have to go! Chuck cries out, noticing the redhead stare off into open space in the midst of a growing panic attack. Hyperventilating, Simone shakes her head. She has to get moving. It's all over anyway if her old crew proves her panic conspiracy true. Press on, press on, press on. Right, she utters, before making that turn to see that the 2 ancient humans were already moved, leaving a stain where the ages past dry blood kept the 2 in place on the ground like cement. Thorn? Simone calls out, her nerves still remaining high. Right here. The shuttle is open and ready for us, but we still got one last passenger to grab. he replied, as he flew through the pod bay and thrusting around into the hidden room. Simone haggles out breaths as she follows him in. Devin still works away at his equipment, frantically doing his best to see if the toddler's pod has any relevant feature for the pressing situation. Red? I could use some translating, he barks. On it, the redhead replies, gunning herself over to him and the panel on the pod itself. The Manerian indication text presents itself, and as Simone's brain tries to make sense of it, another call comes in. The flagship is hailing us, Chopnock informs. Simone grits her teeth and narrows her eyes at the text. She needs time, and this little kid needs her. Patch it directly to me, she says. Aye, sir. Aye, aye. Waiting for the line to fully connect, the redhead clears her throat. Before anyone on the Gaia side can utter a word, she beats them to the punch. Look, if this is about our ship's extended warranty, you can cram it. You people always call at the most inconvenient times, and I gotta say it's really starting to tick me off, she says, with as much sass as she can muster while reading. Seriously, whether it's when I'm sitting down with dinner or when I'm trying to go to sleep, my lens goes off and completely throws up my vibe. Simone Thatch, as pleasant as our records show. A richly thick woman's voice responds before a profile video feed accompanies it. At least we managed to squeeze out some sort of use for you. The woman's face is tanned by sunlight, and her chocolate brown hair is tied back with a polished sharp bone, keeping the ponytail in place. Around her neck is a handcrafted necklace of small beads with a long, prehistoric obsidian spear tip down the centre. Shoulders down, however, she is dressed in surprisingly modern maroon military wear, though Simone doesn't recognise it as Union standard. Though a dark human handprint over her breast pocket does stand out. Glad I can be of service. Now kindly fuck off, would ya? You obviously don't want this place blown to Kingdom Come, otherwise it would already be space dust. We'll get out of your hair and leave it all to you, don't worry, Simone says, before selecting an option in the panel. How observant, but we will be more than willing to decimate the crafts around that station. But in hopes to reduce collateral, we are open to your peaceful surrender, the woman responds, her expression giving away a bit of an eye twitch. Sure, but just give me a few to spread your offer around, would ya? Put it to a vote and see where everyone stands. Oh, by the way, that brain virus you sent my way nearly did me in, I'll give you that. But a bit counterproductive if you needed what's in the old noggin, Simone says, hiding her annoyance that she is finding nothing at all useful. The woman glances to the side, towards someone not within view. Her face is both annoyed and even unnerved by whoever's there. That was a contingency, one which was not recalled in the time we would have hoped. You have made many enemies in the Children of Gaia's ranks, Miss Thatch, the woman explains, a feverish anger sparking in her eyes. Ooh, that looked personal. What did I do? Cut you off in traffic? Steal the last frozen burrito from your freezer? Send you a rolling Rick on a message chain? Simone rattles on, shaking her head at Devin to say that there was nothing useful. To which the man leans back in stress, trying to come up with something that could work. Thorne reaches out a hand to his shoulder and seems to ask something through the comm, but Simone is too distracted to know what. The feed of the woman shows her fit her hands behind her back and straightens her posture even more than it already is. You've met my late husband, Cole. The redhead's face cringes as tightly inhaled air through her teeth. Ooh, my condolences. Your taste in men must really be a dumpster fire, Simone mumbled, feigning pity. Not amused in the slightest, the woman's eye twitches much more noticeably. You have no clue how lucky you are. If you were standing anywhere else in this damn universe, I'd... What? Turn my brain case into Chucky Wall pudding like my wife did your poor hubby-wubby? Ha! Fuck you and that fascist trash. He got what was coming to him, and you will too, you caveman fetishizing cunt, Simone releases, now free to actually focus more on the conversation. The woman's face was glistening red, like a boil about to burst. But before she can say anything more, another voice speaks up. Simone, I thought your father would have taught you better than to use such foul language. A much older woman's voice speaks up. The redhead can feel her blood freeze up in an instant. She doesn't recognize that voice, but she really doesn't need to. Who's that? Simone utters, already fearing the answer. You know who, the older voice responds. Having not expected this, nor able to bounce back, the redhead looks to the nearby princess. She knows she can't help, but her eyes demand something remotely comforting. Something that can avert her emerging, blinding rage. I don't like hurting people, but hear me. I'm going to watch the life leave your eyes, and I'm going to savor every goddamn millisecond. I promise, with all my heart," the redhead states coldly. "So dramatic," the older woman says with an eye-roll tone. "Listen now, your precious candy toy doesn't have to die, or any of these gutter folk you've associated yourself with for that matter. Surrender and send yourself with everything you've collected in a shuttle our way, and the rest can go. I'd say that's rather generous in these circumstances." "Shove it, you crazy bitch," Simone immediately snaps. "There's your father's temper. Well, out of the generosity of my heart, I'll give you 10 minutes to calm down. You know this is the best option you will have. I think twice before proving yourself to be even more of a disappointment." With that, the line drops, leaving everyone looking at the redhead in concern. Biting back her pride and rage, Simone looks to the two other Terrans. "I brought us 10 minutes, maybe more. They really don't want to lose this place. Any ideas?" she says. "Thorn has one, but it's a big gamble, if not outright insane," Devon replies with little confidence. Simone gazes directly at the older man expectantly. "I've been scanning this place around us, up and down. I think it can be done." Scales turning ghostly white, Chugnor lines up the Cryptop's cannons precisely where instructed. Though aiming such an armament so near where presumably his crew may stand does not sit right with him in the slightest. "At the ready," he updates. "We're all set too. Fire on my mark," Simone responds. "Mark!" Placing more trust in Simone than he has ever done before, the captain fires the cannons in a single time without hesitation. He watches as the impact strikes, wheeling a huge segment of the already shattered station even more free in a tailspin, but the impact point has struck perfectly on it. "By the stars, may I not regret that," he whispers to himself, before engaging his next instruction to hide the cryptjet behind as much debris as possible. The silent explosion rocks both Simone and Thorn with such force that, if it isn't for their augmented strengths, they would have been thrown cleanly free into open space. The newly created massive searing red opening within the pod bay exposes dashing stars and a swiftly moving moon surface as the structure they brace within spins. "Yippee-ki-yay! Ha ha ha!" Thorn cheers before nodding to Simone on the other side of the kid's pod to prepare. "We're only gonna get one shot. Trust me, Red?" Along with the adrenaline, Simone feels a pang of guilt for letting her brain think that these idiots could have any involvement with the Gaia fucks. The cultists are insane, but these spacer bounty hunters are on a completely different level. "With all my heart, you crazy cowboy," she shouts back. "Shuttle on approach," Devon's voice notifies through the comm. Taking her cue, Simone taps at the pod's panel for it to open. Normally it would have had to first begin a flushing sequence, but thanks to Devon's fiddling, it skipped that procedure entirely. Instead, the pod opens, and the stasis fluid, like crystallized gelatoid, warbles free into the vacuum. In a swift and graceful movement, Thorn takes a thankfully airtight body bag and scoots up the inhabitant along with as much stasis fluid as he can manage. Then the two bolt out of the hidden room in a flash, just in time to watch the shuttle scrape on in through the new opening and practically crash into the opposing wall of pods. With the shuttle door already open, Chuck stands inside at the ready to manually throw it closed. Together with both their augmented might at max, Thorn and Simone kick off the handprint wall, denting it, and like bullets with cargo zoom right in. Before they can hit the shuttle's other side, they put all their thrusters at full burn, leaving distinct scorch marks before coming to a stop. Chuck having slammed the door shut, the automatic repressurization kicks in, and within seconds, completes in bringing the atmosphere back. Wasting no time, Simone throws her helmet to the side and opens the body bag, begging the stars themselves that the one contained within it will not be permanently staying. The bag almost bursts as the stasis fluid evaporates away, leaving only the exposed Minerian toddler. Pulling off her gauntlets and deactivating the rest of her power armor, Simone begins to reach in, until Thorn takes hold of her wrist in caution. "Wait a moment, Mama Bear," he mumbles as his cyanide locks the child up and down. "No spinal injuries, no broken bones, not seeing inflammation, not concussed. Alright, Mama Bear away." Sighing in relief and in thanks, Simone gently takes hold under the body and head to lift. Despite being a body bad for an adult Terran, this child's folded wings and grasp of tail fills out quite a bit of it. The redhead actually finds the weight distribution a bit awkward at first, naturally expecting it to be like a Terran toddler. But she manages to crawl back with him, more or less cradled in her arms. Resting her back against the shuttle wall, she sits and brushes a bit of the boy's head fur from his face. His massive purplish plumes of ears twitch as his face scrunches up as if rudely woken from a nap. He lifts his tail up and rubs his own flat, bat-like nose with the end grasper. He must have agitated himself, because he screeches out a sharp sneeze, causing his four dark, blackish-red fangs to fully expose, and his ear plumes to temporarily puff out even more. "Hey, buddy," Simone utters, her heart melting in that instant. At the sound of her voice, his two eyes blink open wide. He looks at her blankly, ears still twitching like crazy. "Abom, Mas," he incoherently mumbles, and neither GS nor Manarian, from what Simone can tell. "Hello, hello," the redhead giggles as she pokes the boy's nose. In retaliation, he snatches her hand with his grasper with surprising accuracy. Then, without removing his eyes from her, he brings her hand closer and starts to mindlessly chew on it. Despite having sharp teeth, he doesn't bite down very hard. In the back of Simone's head, she simply knows this is just how Manarian babies meet and greet new faces. In fact, she knows she's going to have a lot of biting in her future. Maybe the Manarian bits in her head is going to be a very positive thing after all. "Glad that he's in one piece, but we're still about to fucking die," Devin shouts in the shared comm channel as he manually pilots the shuttle. To his side, he witnesses a barrage of missiles launching forth from the Gaia destroyer ship. "On your left," Brandy's voice calls out, as she swings the bus Blunder around in the sweeping maneuver as a protective shield. However, instead of letting the guided barrage continue its course, the old warship lights up like the universe's largest sparkling firework. The array of missiles are gunned down in splendorous glory, and either make it through, collide against the bus Blunder's shields, with little effect on their own. "Thanks, Bran. Chugnook, take us out the moment we dock," Devin instructs. "Aye, ha ha ha! Cargo doors ready to receive," the captain replies. Thinking on it, Simone decides to give her own orders. "Troy, divert your guns to that station. Obliterate it into that moon," she says, trying not to sound too sharp-toned in front of the kid. "Hell yes!" Troy cheers, before the line of fire from the bus Blunder cascades down upon the remains of the station. In silent explosions and eruptions, the main masses are torn to shreds, if not sent on a one-way trip to the moon's ice-crusted surface. In mere moments, the shuttle docks within the Cryptchap, soon resulting in this perilous nightmare coming to an end, as the two allied vessels delve into FTL one after the other. Completely unaware of the extraction or level of danger he was in, the Toller keeps staring up at Simone with his beautiful, large, golden irises resting in red. His cat-like pupils expand and contract as he finds interesting features of the ape's face. "Mamble," he warbles. "Oh yeah? That's so?" Simone replies with a soft voice. "Oh ma!" the boy retorts. Simone pretends to gasp, making the kid jolt in place. "No way!" she says, in playful astonishment. As if her heart can't take any more, the toddler screeches out a giggling laughter. His still developing wings flap slightly from under her arms, revealing a gorgeous moth-like pattern on their inner membrane. "Chuck, you have to come meet him. Come look at his..." she starts to invite, before noticing that the Callie now stands outside of the shuttle, partially hiding away. "What's wrong, hung?" Chuck, still having her helmet on, looks to the ground and away shamefully. "Oh, I'm alright. I'm glad he's unharmed and in good spirits," she mumbles, poorly covering her discomfort. Simone looks back and forth confused, until it hits her, dropping her melted heart into a freezing cold pit. "The encoding?" she asks. "Oh, seems so. I'm sorry," the Callie confirms, unable to lie about it. Not knowing what to say, Simone nods and carefully stands herself up. I'm gonna check him in with Dave. Make sure he's all good," she notifies. Good, Chuck says, the awkward air more than apparent. "Bruh, guess who's back? Back again. Smack a friend," Dave greets, as the Terran steps on. "I don't think that's how it goes. And not for me this time. This little guy needs a health evaluation," Simone chuckles as she enters, bouncing the Toller in her arms. "Whoa, bro. That's like a whole new species I don't know. Crazy. I'll do what I can do. Set the snot machine right here." Looking wearily at the circling machine, the boy wraps his tail all the way around Simone as she carries him to the bed. "Sup, slugger? I see we're gonna have to take things chill like. Groovy with me, little man. I'll just give you a little thorough scan here, and donezo. Yep, all healthy in that department, though I don't have any records to go on, so I'm going to need a teeny tiny blood sample. One of Dave's tendrils suddenly approaches, only to be swatted away by a retaliating Manarian tail. Bingo, Dave declares, apparently using that brief contact as the opportunity for a sample. More good news, still healthy, but I will let you know that he is completely blind out of his left eye. Not from any injury or disease, from what I can tell, but his eyeball is a bit degraded. It looks like the degradation has stopped, and we'll be sure to monitor this little bro moving forward. Is he going to need a patch or something? Surgery even? Simone asks. Nope. Looks like he can do just fine as is. From what I can tell, he's mostly perceives things with those big honking fluffy ears of his. Damn, I can tell they're soft. If the condition progresses or worsens, then we can start talking that stuff. For now, he gets a green card and a candy. I wish I had actual candy to give, so do a cool doc a solid and give him one. Smirking, Simone nods and moves to cross the walkway for the mess hall. Will do. Thanks, Dave, she says as she leaves. Hey, Red? Thorne calls out, while seeming to have a conversation with the captain. Little Mothman all good? All good. He's just... The redhead starts to respond, before the child bites into her shoulder. Again, not harshly, but suddenly enough to be surprising. Her first instinct is to gently reprimand him, but something tells her this is normal, if not expected. She should feel relieved, but her mind drifts to the possibility of the other non-Deathworlders on board being bitten in the future. What if this kid were to really hurt someone by accident? He doesn't know any better. Would it be for the best if she did reprimand the biting? Even if that goes against what the background feelings are telling her? Oh my, look at him! Adorable yet making my inside want to fold inside out. Pwahaha! Chocknock says, as he approaches with Thorne, though he does noticeably keep a bit of a distance. Yeah, still figuring what to do from here, Simone admits. Chocolate Mortas did ask if we should hold a crew-wide meeting after we drop out of FDL. I didn't think it was necessary until seeing the light for myself. Perhaps we can all hash out what's to come next then, Chocknock says, curiously eyeballing the still biting toddler. That would be for the best, Simone grants a bit somberly. Something bothering you, Miss Thatch? Does something else happen in our grand escape? The captain inquires. Yeah. Actually, I guess we'll go over that later, Simone admits. It isn't a lie. Several bombshells were all dropped at once while on that star-forsaken station. A lot of emotions being jerked around like a damn pinball machine in a relatively short amount of time. So much to unpack for sure. But oddly enough, all she can think about is this kid. Probably because of what's currently in her brain, she already feels like he is hers to raise. That already this boy might as well be her son, because, well, she feels like he is. Even entertaining the thought of having to choose between him and the rest of her family here disturbs her to no end.